Good day. Welcome to Orange County Talk Radio. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Robeson Oil, the house that service built. By Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. By Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard up and down the Hudson Valley. By Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction of Armonk. They work throughout the Hudson Valley, and White Plains Hospital at your service for whatever you need throughout the Hudson Valley, too. This is the Cup of Joe political show. We are joined by Orange County Executive Steve Neuhaus. Steve Neuhaus, welcome back to Orange County Talk Radio. The COVID numbers, the COVID outlook and situation now. Is there light at the end of this tunnel?
There's a bright light. John, first, it's great to see you. Like always, we always have a lot of fun doing this. Our numbers have gone way down in the last few weeks. We are tracking, just about 3 weeks ago, we had 15,000 active cases that we knew of. That's not even counting people that had the at-home test kits. Now, we're down to just a few thousand. The hospitalizations have gone down by well over 100. So the people on ventilators have gone down. Now, we've had a lot of people die. Just in the last few days, we had 5 people die. 4 were not vaccinated. 1 was fully vaccinated. I keep track of those numbers on a regular basis, but there is definitely a bright light at the end of the tunnel. We are getting out of this. Everybody's feeling that as well. We're following the trends with the state, but it was a rough haul right around Hanukkah, beginning of a week before Christmas, all the way into the month of January. But now that we're heading into February, we can definitely feel a big change.
How did the numbers drop so dramatically now so quick after they went up so fast?
I think, the last thing you want to do is ask political people, and I'm a military guy, and I'm a county executive. Medical, asking for medical opinions, but I think it's worked its way through the community. And then you also have a mixture of people that are done with getting vaccinated, some that will never get vaccinated, and then people have made their choices. So it's worked its way through the community. Most people have recovered. Highly contagious, the Omicron version, but now that the post-holidays, post-New Year's gatherings have went away, what are we looking forward to? We got Super Bowl Sunday in 2 weeks. Might see a tiny spike from there.
And then Valentine's Day, yeah.
And then you got Valentine's. It's just 2 people. Some people by themselves. Who knows?
Right. Mm-hmm. And then we have Easter after that too. Is that a potential concern of people getting together?
Once we get into March, the concerns really start to dissipate, because now people are going outdoors more as opposed to being stuck inside now and congregating heavily around each other. You start opening them up and the weather gets better. You start seeing those numbers go down. So, just right now you can see a lot of things mixing up. Unemployment is now, even though we're just getting through the spike, unemployment is pre-2020 COVID numbers, 3.7%. So you could definitely feel all these indicators impacting where we are right now with COVID.
You've battled Governor Hochul about masks, her mask mandate, when she said everybody has to mask up in December. You said using Gestapo tactics and going business to business, asking them if they're enforcing masking, that's not something you want your people to do, that your health department has many more important things than that to do.
Absolutely. We're hemorrhaging staff because of people were sick and retirements. The last thing I'm going to do is go door to door, business to business, and tell people now, should they wear a mask? And should you, more importantly, go to a restaurant or a retail operation and it says on the door to wear a mask? Absolutely. It is that proprietor's right to set the standards of people coming in there. I just don't like the tip line, hey, rat out your friend, because I've seen this, John. This happened in 2020 where we had the pause complaints. At least 40 to 50% of the complaints were from competing businesses. So it wasn't even like I went to this place, John's Restaurant, and people were not masked, and I was really felt uncomfortable. It was Steve's competing restaurant calling about John. It's just not the right way to do it. People need to be responsible. They should be responsible. And a retail operation has the right to police how they want it. If you don't feel comfortable, you and your wife, John, you go to a restaurant where you don't feel comfortable, you're not coming back, or you leave early. I've seen that happen too. So look, I just I thought it was a little heavy-handed, and then they're going to fine people. It's just not the right way to do it. So it wasn't that we were telling people that they shouldn't abide by it, but you're not going to see my limited staff do that when we were vaccinating people, we were testing people, and we have other stuff on our priority list.
2 years later, how did this issue become so politicized basically from day one?
You know what it is? You have politicians that don't know everything. You don't know everything. And a lot of people acted like they did. And then the public listened to them and said, look, John, you get this vaccine, you're going to live forever. You're going to beat COVID. Then 6 months later, you got to get a booster, John. And people are just starting to, and then people hyper politicized it, saying, you know, when polio was one vaccine, now that if there was three, it would have never been this way. You don't know what you don't know. And I think that even scientists and doctors, if they're not 100% sure, and you're allowed to change, and people need to be a little bit more forgiving and flexible on it, but you should not talk in indefinite language if you're not 100% sure. Mm-hmm. We believe that this is the best thing for you. We believe that this treatment is the best thing for you. Ask any medical doctor or nursing home or nurse if they've learned a lot over the last 2 years, better ways to treat people in particular. They have. And unfortunately, you have to learn the hard way in this situation, which is really unfortunate. Ventilators were highly utilized in the beginning. They're utilized now as a last resort, but there's other ways to treat people early on to save. We're saving more people than we did earlier. I was reporting 10, 20 deaths a day at some points. Now I'm doing, that over a week's period, unfortunately, and it's gotten a lot less.
We've seen, like you said, politicians say, take this shot, do this, do that, and you'll live forever. Meanwhile, I have to say, health officials up and down the Hudson Valley have taken the other tack since the beginning, saying, I can't guarantee that a vaccine will work for you. The numbers say 90, 92, 95% effective, but there is nothing that can be 100% effective medically. No one can tell you that. I think we have to give them credit for that.
Absolutely. And you know what else? Every one of these health commissioners and most medical doctors you see on TV, and they tell you to take the vaccines and the boosters. But there's a lot of other things they do bring up. How about being healthy, John? How about keeping your body as healthy as possible? So when you get anything, whether it's a cold or a flu or any type of sickness, your body is more prepared to deal with that and fight it and protect it when it's in better shape. So that is a wake-up call. I'm in the military. I think it said like 75 to 85% of Americans would not be physically able or qualified to pass the military physical fitness test. We got to work on that.
How do you have a military if we have those kind of numbers?
Well, that makes it good to me because I'm in that top 20%, and believe me, I am no Olympian. I'm kind of a pack mule, and I've always designated myself as a pack mule my whole military career because I've always carried a lot of stuff, and I'm always like, give him the big stuff to carry. He's the big guy. So, but honestly, just go back to it. If you keep yourself healthy, that'll help you prepare to be any type of thing, and that's always been tried and true.
Orange County Executive Steve Neuhaus here, Orange County Talk Radio, Cup of Joe political show. John Marino here with you. The state budget now being negotiated up in Albany. What does Orange County need from Albany, from its legislators, assemblymen, state senators now? So
the budget that the governor put together is as a
$216 billion. That's a big number.
Big number. As a county executive, it's been less intrusive out of any county, any governor's proposal, probably in the last 15 years. Usually they're balancing the budget predominantly on the counties. They didn't do that this time. Kathy Hochul, obviously accidental governor, coming in there, trying to get everybody to calm down, trying to work together. So she still has to get that budget adopted, and either the legislature's got to be the bad guy or and take stuff away, or they might adopt it because it's an election year. And also, as of midnight last night, new election districts came out for Senate and Assembly. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we call it silly season, an election year. And she's trying to, she was going away at, the Governor Cuomo had told her, hey, by the way, you're not going to be my running mate next time. So she had all but checked out of her political career, and obviously the rest is history. That being said, what I get worried about the most is I have a phenomenally strong economic strength in Orange County. Both the county government is strong, but also I'm growing economically. I just announced today, 15 minutes ago, John, Play Airlines coming into Stewart. They're brand new airlines, international, similar to Norwegian, and they're going to be flying to Iceland and then direct to all different European markets. Things are on a move, but so we are self-sustaining right now, the county government. I get worried about how the state will be in 2 or 3 years. Right now, everybody's balancing their budget, not the county, but the state is on all this surge of money that came in from ARPA and the other things from the federal government. I worry about the long-term sustainability about the state government looking forward to this. And that's what scares me, because right now the budget seems okay. But in 2 or 3 years ago, once she gets reelected, if that's or gets elected, which she's trying to do, if Lee Zeldin or one of these other people, she's got some problems from some of the Democrats who want to run. There's a lot of Republicans who want to run. But how is she going to balance the budget in 2 or 3 years from now? Because in 2020, January, I had a meeting with Mojica. Robert Mojica is the budget director for the state of New York.
Who stayed on after Andrew Cuomo stayed on with Kathy Hochul. She kept him.
Very smart guy. He started under Pataki, so he's got a survivability rating, and he sat across from me and all the other county executives for on either side of me, and he said that the counties are going to have to pay more money because of the state is so far behind and delinquent. They just literally, it's a spending problem the state has. So if they would get their spending equal to what they brought in, rather than depending on having other people pay those bills, I'd be more comfortable. So I am in a wait and see pattern right now, very involved. I'm going through the session on the County Execs Association in New York State. I'm also on the board for the National County Execs of America. We got a surge of money coming in, John. And not only with the stimulus, but look at the millions of dollars that's coming in under the lawsuits that we started with the opioid lawsuits. There's so much money coming in, John, they don't know how to spend it. So that's why we're using our stimulus money in Orange County on predominantly infrastructure. So if I have a to-do list, I need to do something in 5 years, John, I'll do it this year and not borrow money for it. Pay for it with the money that this is taxpayers' money that we're using. So I'm actually pumped and excited about it. I love building things. We're building a new medical examiner's office. That's going to be state of the art. We're doing all sorts of other infrastructure, sewer and water and roads, which aren't as sexy. You don't appreciate it until they're broken or crumbling. You're hitting a pothole or your toilet doesn't flush. But they're important things that you got to stay up on because it'll cost you more in the end.
Can an accidental governor maybe do too much to try to become the elected governor?
You can. That's why I'm worried about the checks being able to be balanced and everything, the budgets being able to be balanced. But, it was such a rough relationship between the governor and a lot of people. He had this my way to highway type of attitude. And if you were not with him, you were against him. And he thought he treated you as an enemy. She has gotten away from that. She's got definitely better bedside manner, but she's a politician. In a very divided. So if you're a Republican, you're worried about the right. The right is saying you're not conservative enough. If you're a Democrat, the left is saying you're not too left. And that's why she picked a member of New York City as her as her running mate to try to.
Brian
She
Benjamin.
basically she cut Letitia James off at the road.
Right.
So, and I think the Democrats were smart by saying no primary. I know Tom Suozzi's out there, who's another highly qualified Democrat. But the same thing with the Republicans. You got a couple of people out there, Andrew Giuliani. I don't think he's got any horsepower, but you got some other people out there. Lee Zeldin and I've been friends for over 10 years. Good guy. So it's an interesting year. It's a midterm election year in a hyper unpopular president, hyperinflation, Afghanistan, all sorts of stuff going on, high prices, like I said, with hyperinflation. So it's going to be a very interesting fall as we head into there, John.
Have you had a look at the new election districts? There has been a lot of talk about that. Very controversial.
I did. Some of them I'm happy about. Some of them I'm not personally. I got Senator Martucci, who'll be my senator, who's a friend of mine, a great guy. I think he's probably one of the best senators we've had in New York State in the last 10 years. Self-made person, doesn't need to do this, cares. He's like me. He's got a young family, cares about the future. So I'm excited to have him as my new senator representing where I personally live. The congressional maps, I'm not thrilled about them. We have Congressman Jones coming up from down in Westchester area representing parts of Southern Orange County. They basically cut Orange County up because we're so strong, and we have great voters here, and they vote for good people here. And I'm proud of the way my voters vote for, not just how they vote for me, but they're educated. They come out and they basically split the baby to divide the power on here. But we'll see what happens.
You brought up Mondaire Jones, and he is in the seat once occupied by Nita Lowey, who represented her district, mostly Westchester, for over 30 years until she retired a little over a year ago. Mondaire Jones won that election. That district in particular has been carved up more than a totally diced up Thanksgiving turkey since Nita Lowey first took office back in the late 80s. How does this happen? You talk about this district now jutting into Orange County with Mondaire Jones. I remember a time back in the 90s when that district was mostly Westchester, a piece of Rockland, a piece of the North Shore of Queens, and the North Shore of Long Island, too. How do people get represented the right way when so many areas are within one district?
It's tough. It's tough, John. And I think that I was down in the Capitol a month ago, actually with Lee Zeldin. Actually, we were down there for Bob Dole's funeral, and it is not a job I would want, and only because one day a week these guys are raising money, Republican or Democrat, and then it's just a numbers game. So I got a district; it's a Bullwinkle district, gerrymandered. I need to make sure I keep that 50 to 55% of my core constituency happy. The other ones I'll try to take care of if I can. And it's tough. And if you look at it, overwhelming majority of Americans hate Congress, but they love their local congressman. It is retail politics. And let me tell you, whether you're Sean Maloney or you're Jones, Congressman Jones, or any of these other districts, this is not a year you want to run for re-election as a Democrat. It's a tough year. So you need a strong gerrymandered district in order to survive. And that's what these guys have been fighting for, because it's going to be a rough year. But on the other hand, you need a good candidate. People could smack talk you all they want, John, and want to take you out. But unless they have somebody that's running, that's tough, a man or a woman that is willing to get in the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt has said, and willing to get beat up, it's 50% resume. Then it's, in my opinion, and it's 50% a fighter in there.
Mm-hmm. You also mentioned Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, who the base of his district is in Westchester, and that cuts up into the Hudson Valley, too. And the Republican battle for governor. You're good friends with Lee Zeldin, Eastern Long Island Congressman, Rob Astorino, former Westchester County Executive. The polls, familiarity, the Siena College polls, the last 2 or 3 show Andrew Giuliani leading the pack just because people know the Giuliani name. Do you see anyone else potentially getting into this race on the GOP side?
Harry Wilson, self-made millionaire who has thrown his hat in the ring. Unfortunately, everything is about money with these. Like I hate raising money, and I'm not good at it. I probably I could get better at it. I just hate, I feel it's a uncomfortable. I worked in the stock exchange down in the World Trade Center. And it was a great learning experience, but I thought it was probably one of the most horrible things to do. You're calling people up and saying, "Hey, John Marino, this is Steve. I got some great things going on. I think you should look at Sun Microsystems, and I'm asking you to put your nest egg for you and your wife and your kids on the line." And I did not do that too long, and I learned a lot about it. I learned about the financial industry, but that's how it is with raising money, and then you're beholden to these people. So that's why I'm not good at it. A lot of my raising is organic or from people that, people know I'm big pro business. So a lot of businesses in certain sectors support me, but it's a tough spot. So these guys that want to run for governor, I don't think Giuliani's getting any traction besides his dad's name. So that's the right wing saying, "Oh, I kind of remember that guy," but he's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Seems like a great guy, not going anywhere. You look at people like Mark Molinaro, who's a colleague of mine, a county executive across the river in Dutchess County. He's hanging it up as county executive and running for Congress. He has a very strong chance of winning. Midterm election always favors the opposite party. So he's got those wind in his sails. He's got some name recognition, but it's going to be an interesting time. We say people don't pay attention to this until September. So the general voters don't pay attention to these elections until September. But right now, those primaries are run by the wings of the parties: the conservative wing on the Republicans, the liberal wing or the left-leaning wing of the Democrats. As they get through this, that's why you seem to get these very polarizing candidates over the last 8 years, because the people that put them in are really the primary voters.
Mark Molinaro says, "I'm not running for governor. I'm running for Congress. That's it." And you talk about you don't like raising money, but that's a political reality. You have to do it to survive, to get elected, to do what you need to do to get your name out there. How do you make all this mix and match together? Because you have to raise the bucks.
I think that the system, even though it's difficult with money raising, but if you look, I ran 8 years ago. I had $30,000 in a dream. The guy I was running against had $500,000 in the bank. The next guy had $250,000, and then there was a lady that had $130,000. I had $30,000 in the bank. I beat them all. So that is a message to everybody out there. I resonated with the voters. My military background of not taking any crap from anybody resonated with people. I said that the other three candidates had 1 foot out of the state. They were already looking at leaving the state when I was anchored here with my family. I got a young family I'm raising here. That's why I think that you have a guy like Mike Bartucci resonates with voters, because they're like, look, this guy doesn't need to be here. He wants to be here because he's looking for what's best for this future of the state. So, and I think if, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, if you really want to make a difference, you don't need to show up there with a lot of money, but you need to come up with a battle plan on how to utilize that money, which with the best interest. So you could give me a bad candidate and give me all the money in the world for him. I'm still not going to be able to sell him to the public. One of the things I got my background, I got a national security degree from the Navy War College. One of the things we studied was battles in history where the weaker Army or Navy won 1/3 of the time, overwhelming a much stronger one by strategy and outmaneuvering. And that, is the key to politics: strategy, one-liners. That one time you make a mistake. Remember the guy that was running for president and he did that scream? He was in the lead, the Democrat. I forgot.
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean.
20 years ago.
He did that howl, and all of a sudden went like
he was done.
Snowplow. He just went, yeah.
Right. So basically overnight, he was done. It was shocking the way he felt.
Remember the guy from Virginia? I'm going back in my time. I'm dating myself. Where he called the guy in the crowd a disparaging comment. Mercaka, remember? The guy in the background?
Yeah.
Gone.
Right.
Gone in 60 seconds. Can go in two ways. You could be in a race car or you could be in politics.
As they say in sports, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah. So I think that even though you do need the money will come to you if people also like to back a winner too, John. It's hard to call when I say, look, I'm going to take out Congressman John Marino. Yeah, the guy's been there 10 years. You're not going to take him out. It's hard to get people to believe in you back then. But once they start seeing some signs of life or maybe a weakness, something happened to the candidate, they got in trouble. Success does breed success, including in politics.
Do businesses locally throughout Orange County, throughout the Hudson Valley, maybe need more federal stimulus money in this time of Omicron?
I don't think so, and I don't think the country can afford it anymore. I mean, we got so much money from the stimulus, just the government side of it, that I look at that. That's where my kids are paying for. I got young kids. They're like 4 to 12 years old. They're paying for this. So we need to utilize that money wisely. That's going to benefit them at least in the future as best as possible. We were going to talk about the rent and the freezing of evictions. We need to get out of all this, John. What business community needs the most is to stop putting these restrictions on, and let's just start moving collectively out of this mess. I can't imagine how it must have been for some business owners excuse me, throughout this whole pandemic, having to survive. You're staying, you're not staying, you could do pickup, but you can't have people in there, mask, non-mask. It's tough. And I get it. It was a serious pandemic, and everybody tried their best. The thing that got Andrew Cuomo about the nursing homes is denying that people were dying there and maybe they made a bad mistake. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. What's wrong is staying wrong. You could, if you honestly told the people, look, early on, putting people on ventilators, trying to relieve the hospitals by putting people into nursing homes was what we were advised, and we did that, but it obviously didn't work out. We're changing course. Here's where we're going. You didn't see a lot of elected officials doing that, Republicans or Democrats. If they were more honest with people, I ran unopposed for the first time of any county executive in the history of Orange County this year. And I think part of that was because I do these podcasts. It was nightly. Now I do it twice a week, where I basically just tell people how it is. And I'm very intimately involved in the Restaurant and Tavern Association and the Chamber of Commerce's, because they were telling me, directly to me what they need to survive. And what they've been telling me is, let us be. We know what needs to be done. Let us.
You also have a show in my old stomping grounds where I began my career back in the late 70s, 1110 WTBQ, Warwick. Back then, Orange County was totally open space. I remember driving down 94 every day and coming up on the old Westlowski farm when you get off 17, the Quickway in Chester, and maybe you might see one of his cows out in the roadway and you have to drive around. Now here we are 43 years later, and things have, let's say Orange is still open, but not so much. It's been very developed since then. How do we strike that balance about tradition, open space, and yet keeping up with the times?
So I used to be on the board of directors for the Orange County Land Trust, which is an organization that goes out and identifies key pieces of property to preserve and protect, whether it's supporting people getting like a PDR, like a farmer that says, hey, I pledge not to develop this farm, but it gives them some tax relief. Because I got to tell you, my family still owns a farm. It's a pain in the neck, John. It is very tough to have large piece of property and pay taxes on it. It's a lot easier to sell it and get it developed. And that's not what, and I think is the best. I don't think that is the best use of property. So we as government, and that's unfortunate. That's one hit I could put on Kathy Hochul. She politically vetoed a law that would allow towns in Orange County to charge a PDR, purchase of development rights, would allow them to grow some money by the transfer of property, and she vetoed that for political reasons. That would have helped the towns. I have pledged over $1 million that we're going to utilize in the next few years to match open space. We're on the cusp of announcing a 350-acre piece of property that the community, the public can use for hiking and outdoors in the next couple months. Orange County Land Trust, big key partner on it. The OAS, the Open Space Institute, OSI, sorry, I call them like the British spy agency of World War II. That's the military army, but the Open Space Institute, critical partner. But you're going to see more and more towns, villages, and cities getting engaged in preserving open space. And we learned a lesson from COVID, John. A lot of people like coming out here. They like enjoying the outdoors. They love the Heritage Trail, which we're going to double the size in the next couple of years. They liked the parks, and they were highly utilized, those parks, and almost to an overcapacitating level. But going back to being a healthy person, go out there and hike. It doesn't take a lot of, you don't need to be an Olympian to you're not rock climbing. You could just walk. Probably one of the best things you could do for yourself.
Right. Medically, that is the best thing you can do. Walk. Yep. So as we've seen,
we're in high gear on it. I'm also a big outdoors person, so I've increased the budget for fish stocking and developing, so people can go fishing. Outdoors are just booming right now, and I'm looking at having any type of activity. You have disc golf, all these different types of things that people want to do more, and seniors as well. Senior citizens like to do this, and it's good for them as well.
Are you optimistic about 2022?
I am. The only thing I'm not optimistic that I worry about is international stuff. We're on a cusp of some type of conflict in the Ukraine that can happen. Probably my prediction is that it would happen in 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now at the end of the Olympics. Putin won't do it to China, so that worries me. As you know, I'm assigned to the Pacific Fleet. I've been to Hawaii twice in the last 6 months because things are heating up. A lot of international stuff, challenges for this country right now. Iran, we have a big, the second largest Jewish population in the world is in New York State. So second to Israel. Iran is a major threat to the Middle East. You see above my head is an ISIS flag right there from when I was in Iraq. I get worried about a lot of things going on around the world, but am I worried about the costs going up? Yeah. We have record numbers of HEAP applications. These are people that are calling for help because they can't afford to pay for their home heating bills this winter. That does concern me. So the overall American economy concerns me because the rising costs impact the poverty levels. But I'm also very concerned about the United States' place in the world, and that we might get passed over by some of these people that look at us as right now as weak, and that we're not going to do anything to fight back if something happens. So that type of stuff concerns me.
Orange County Executive Steve Neuhaus, thank you for joining us again here on Orange County Talk Radio. Great to have you back, and let's talk soon. All the best in 2022.
Have coffee with you and talk politics anytime, John. And
there we go. Much appreciated. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Steve
Thank
Neuhaus,
you very much for
Orange
letting me
County.
be with you today.
Oh, great. Great to have you as always. And again, Happy New Year. The best in 2022 to you and everybody in Orange County, up and down the Hudson Valley. Here, Orange County Talk Radio, produced by Sharc Creative, Cup of Joe political show. I'm John Marino, and we are brought to you by people like Tompkins Mahopac Bank, Robeson Oil, the house that service built by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth up and down the Hudson Valley through fiduciary standard. Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction of Armonk in Westchester. They work up and down the Hudson Valley too, and White Plains Hospital has everything you need, all your medical services throughout the Hudson Valley as well. Catch all of our Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and Dutchess, Putnam, and Fairfield County programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.